We've talked a lot about how to identify struggling employees or leaders in your business, what the causes of that are. But one thing I've never talked to you about is how to develop or create a new role within your business that compensates for those weaknesses or constraints within your business. So today we're going to talk about how do you develop a new or upgraded role within your company. Welcome to the KeyHire Small Business Podcast, where we cover the issues that help owners scale their small businesses. I'm Corey Harlock, creator of KeyHire Solutions, and I will be your host. So today we want to talk about upgrading or creating a new role in your business. So let's talk first of all about why would you do that? In your business, when you start a business, you could be 6 months in, 12 months in, you could be 6 years in. But there will come a point when you cobble together your initial leadership team. And that's the absolute right thing to do, cobble it together. That means you hire your neighbor, you hire your neighbor's cousin, you hire your friend, and everyone jumps in and does whatever they need to do to make the business go. And if you do a good job, inevitably, the requirements and the demands of your business will outgrow the capabilities of the people leading the business. And what I mean by that is everyone's jumping in and doing whatever they can do. I might be in charge of sales, but if we have too much stuff to produce, I'll jump in production. I might be in charge of marketing, but if you need me to help in sales, I'll help in sales. I might be the president, but I'm also doing the books. So we're all helping out in ebbing and flowing with the demands of the business. And at a point, your business will hit that critical point where we need to start creating a proper organizational chart, or in EOS, they call it the accountability chart, whatever it is. And people need to be specialized in their role, and they need to be at the top of that chart. And really, there are only 3 categories on that operational chart or organizational chart. There's operations, there's sales, and there's administration. Every role in your business will fall under one of those categories. And you might, as a business owner, try to tell your leadership team that you've built this business with, okay, now I need you to stop playing in all the other sandboxes. I need you to focus on sales. I need you to focus on operations. I need you, person C, to focus on administration. And me as the owner, president, I'm going to try to manage this and help you where you need it. That's the evolution. And when you do that, oftentimes you'll start seeing cracks in the abilities of these people that have gotten you where you are, which is being successful. And you'll start kind of seeing leaders or a leader who isn't able to keep up. They start missing deadlines. They start making excuses. They start pointing fingers at everyone else. Well, I can't sell because operations can't produce, or we can't keep up with production because sales is promising unrealistic delivery dates, or accounting, this business isn't like any other business, and I have to use an abacus instead of using Excel because this job is so crazy. And those people will start micromanaging potentially, or they'll go the other way and they'll check out. Maybe they're not around as much as they were. They're not working as long as they were. They're not hitting deadlines is really, really a key one. And as a business owner, in the KeyHire lexicon, we call that the unsure business owner. We have those 5 key owner stages, and they go from being the overwhelmed business owner to an unsure business owner, to a curious business owner, to a growing business owner, to a strategic business owner. And this is kind of that wheel of evolution, and that growing and strategic business owners where you have your org chart and we're just kind of filling spots. And that overwhelmed business owners is that business owner is doing everything and they're missing every dinner and they're not able to take weekends off. But that unsure business owner in our world is that person who starts asking questions like, why is so-and-so struggling? What are my options? If I need to make a change, this is a long-term loyal person. How do I do that? What are my options with the individual? How, if they can't succeed, how can I find someone who will be successful? So if you're kind of asking yourself these questions, you have someone in your business who used to be your right-hand person, left-hand person, whatever, and you now are kind of consistently wondering what's going on with them. You fall into our curious business owner world, and I want to help you get out of that. So all of that to say, today we want to talk about how do we create a job profile or a job description or hire the right person to upgrade or fulfill a new role in our business. And there's three elements to what we want to talk about and how we're going to do that today. The first thing is we need to hire to culture always. If you do that old 9 box and you have skill or culture fit across the bottom, and then on the 90-degree axis you have experience, you never want to hire the person who is a 3 in experience and a 1 in culture fit. Simon Sinek calls those people high-performing assholes. They just are going to go out. They could do a bang-up job, but they're going to be a wrecking ball within your business, and they're going to just spread discontent. And we don't ever want those people. We don't want to hire the 3 on culture and the 1 on experience unless we understand we're hiring for potential. And that would not be a leader in your business. We never want to hire a leader on potential because there's a chance they're going to immediately be overwhelmed by the situation. So ideally, we want to be, a 3 on culture and a 2 or a 3 on experience as well. So culture, how do we identify what culture is? And so what I always try to do, and what I suggest you do, is if you have core values and you live your core values, we've done episodes on core values as well, not just words on a page stuck on a wall. Ultimately, they come down to what you, the business owner, believe in. And every culture is right for someone. Let's not lie about it. Let's be honest about it. But every culture is right for someone. So understanding your core values, let's list those out. And the core values to me are always kind of how do we deal with our client? How do we deal with people outside the 4 walls? And culture for me is how do we deal with people inside the 4 walls? So we want to understand our core values, but also we want to understand our culture. And if you don't understand what your culture is, the best thing to do is have a meeting with some folks or interview your people and just say, how would you describe working here? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And you want to come up with 4 or 5 words within your culture. And you want to come up with your core values kind of on the other side. And you want to make sure people hit those. That is number 1 priority. The second thing we want to do is understand the right experience we need for this role. And this gets really important. I hate job descriptions. I haven't used the job description in 9 years, 10 years, 11 years. I don't know, a long, long time. And when people ask me, because most of the work we do is helping business owners identify and develop new roles for their company and going out and finding the right people. And people will often say, can you send me a job description? And my standard answer is, I'd love to, but I can't. We don't have a job description for this. We're hoping to hire the right person who can come in and create that job description and tell us what they should be doing. But we have a couple key responsibilities or pieces of experience we require from any individual that we would hire in this role. And these are really granular, and oftentimes they're the tip of the pyramid when we start looking at roles and responsibilities. So an example of that might be, people would say, well, we need someone who's organized. That would go under culture or personality, right? When we're hiring for culture, that's a personality trait. So it's an interesting distinction to make, but personality traits aren't part of a job description. We want key skills. So let's say we want someone who can go in and organize our production facility. So we might say we want someone who's got some safety, maybe someone who knows some 5S, someone who has been a part of some projects, efficiency projects, someone who has can detail ways that they have improved efficiency within their business. So when I look at that, I would say, okay, well, maybe we need someone who's got some Lean or Six Sigma behind them. That is the tip. If they have Lean or Six Sigma, they probably have all that other stuff, because safety is included in there. 5S is not, but if they've done that, if they're working on that level, 5 or 6S now is probably a part of that. So when you're creating a new role, you don't want to get down in the nitty gritty. We always want to understand, what is that key non-negotiable piece of experience they have. Having said that, we can have negotiables and non-negotiables, but your key 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of experience should be non-negotiable. So if we're looking at production, we would want to have Lean. If we're looking at production, we probably want them to have some health and safety training. If we're looking at production, we want to have things that are specific to our facility. So one of my clients does a lot. They do electrical and mechanical. They do remote power, and it's very intricate, and it's very hard to find people for them, because not only do they wire up all their own boxes, they make all their own boxes from scratch. They cut the metal, they bend it, they weld it, they do everything. And so right, to have someone working in that facility, they have to have a knowledge of mechanical and electrical. And oftentimes we'll say, well, if they've worked in a facility, a facility like ours, that should be good enough, but we don't drill down. If someone's worked in food manufacturing, they probably aren't going to understand remote power with battery and solar arrays. It's probably not going to happen. So we want to find a key piece of experience would be manufacturing facility. And then another within that, you would want to have electrical and mechanical, ideally. So we can start to understand what key pieces of experience look like. They're very detailed. A big mistake people will make is they'll throw away what I would consider a key piece of experience. So if you're looking for someone in administration and you're keeping all of your notes and information in a HubSpot or a Salesforce or an Epicor, often clients will say, yeah, if they've worked with the CRM, that's great. No, that's a required. If we're looking for a planner or a buyer or someone, and they're coming from a mom and pop shop where they're doing everything manually, the time it's going to take for them to ramp up on a piece of software puts them in the category of hiring for potential. They're not going to understand or be a super user of that software in a week or 2, not a month, not 3 months. They're still going to be making mistakes after 3, maybe even 6 months. So let's dial in and understand, if you're a manufacturing facility and you're working on whatever software that is, we want to understand that software and what are similar softwares to it. And we want to make that a requirement, a must-have. You must be a user of an ERP or a CRM the very one we have, or these 2 or 3 different variations that are compatible, that indicate to us you'll be able to pick ours up quickly. Something simple, an engineering company, if you're doing all your drawings in CAD and you interview someone, have you used CAD? No, I do everything freehand. It's going to take them a long time to use CAD. And you're not hiring someone who's going to be able to have an instant impact. And that's what we want to do. When we're hiring a leader, we want to make sure when they walk in on day one, they will be able to do the majority of their job. And they'll have to learn the nuances, and maybe if it's a different software, but they're very good on another one, they'll have to learn that software a bit. They can sign up, take some courses. I'm sure you have people that are happy to jump online and teach them to do that. So when it comes to experience, we're not looking for a job description with personality traits and can you lift 30 pounds? And that's not what we're hiring for. The personality traits we are, but that's not in the experience. What we're looking for are those key 4, 6, 8. It might only be 4 key pieces, depending on the role. It could be 6, 8, 10 pieces of key experience, high level, tip of the pyramid type stuff that we're going for. And we have to be, we're going to put that on our scorecard. And if they don't check enough boxes, we're not going to hire them because you're going to be disappointed. And I'm going to back up here just a little bit. I've worked with a lot of small business owners who have started our conversation by saying, look, I hired a GM, or I hired a director of sales, or I hired someone and gave them a really important high-level role in my company, and it was a waste of money. They didn't work out. And the reason they didn't work out was we didn't clearly define the job, right? The 3 big mistakes we make when we hire for a new role or hire a leader in our business is number 1, we don't clearly define the job, which is what I'm helping you do right now. Clearly define the role. Number 2 is we don't run them through a proper hiring process. And we talk about hiring process all the time, making sure it's consistent. And the third piece is, and which leads into my final topic, is we hire for today's revenue and not future revenue. So when business owners go out and hire these big ticket guys or people, they're generally a referral from a friend, or they're a neighbor who's out of work, or they haven't gone through a rigorous acquisition process to identify the correct person. Someone has landed in their lap and they've thought, oh, wow, this person's got some amazing experience. How can we shoehorn them into my company, and how can I leverage their experience? It's generally the wrong way to look at it, and it doesn't work. So when I work with business owners, we often have to overcome that hurdle. Raise your hand if you've done it. If I could see the other side of this, who I was talking to, I'm sure I would see a lot of hands in the air. But we hire people because we haven't clearly defined the role. We haven't clearly defined what that experience is. And the threshold is 80%. We always want to make sure they meet 80% of all of our criteria to even take them to the next step. If they don't hit 80%, they don't meet the threshold. It's a, hey, man, I've really enjoyed talking to you. I don't think it's fit. You have great experience. It's just not great for this role. But I'd love to keep in touch. But I don't think this one's going to work out for us today. If they're not at 80%, don't hire them. So we've talked about the culture and the core values. We always want to make sure we're hitting all those. Number 2 is the key pieces of experience. 4, 6, 8, 10 key pieces, tip of the pyramid type stuff, not general statements. And they need to have those. Now, there might be a couple on there that would be a nice to have, and we'll score those a little differently, right? We won't weight those. If they don't have a nice to have, we're not going to eliminate them if they have everything else we're looking for. But if they have a nice to have and they're missing key pieces of experience, we will eliminate. The final piece is capacity. So I said the 3 big mistakes small business owners make when they hire is they don't clearly define the role. They have an ad hoc process. And number 3 is they hire for current revenues, not future revenues. I want you to remember this phrase. When you hire a leader, you're not hiring them to run your 10 million or whatever revenue you have. So I'm going to leave some blanks in here, or I'm going to fill them in, but I want you to put your current revenue and your goal, your stretch goal, where you hope to be in 3 to 5 years. So when you hire a leader, if you're a $10 million a year company, you're not hiring them to run your $10 million a year company. You're hiring them to run your $30 million a year company, currently doing 10. And that is a huge transformation for you, because they're going to have more horsepower than you think you need. You're going to say, man, this person, why would they want to work here? They're going to be expensive. Yes, they're going to be expensive because they have a lot of experience. But the idea of hiring a leader with a ton of horsepower, a ton of capacity, is they're going to walk into your business. They're not going to be overwhelmed. They will be able to identify the low-hanging fruit, the low-hanging constraints immediately. They'll be able to fix those low-hanging constraints immediately, and then they'll slowly progress. And you'll notice in short order, a lot of improvements, things that you've been asking to get done for a long time will just start getting done. The long tail benefit of this is not only will they be fixing immediate needs and taking care of those, but if they have the capacity and horsepower that we've identified, if we've identified the capacity and horsepower and they actually have it, they'll fix immediate needs, but they'll fix them with an eye to the future, and they'll be putting process and procedure in place that can accommodate the growth of your business. Meaning, as you grow, you won't have to worry about, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about this? Because the process and procedure that they've developed and implemented into your business should be able to accommodate it. And of course, if you hit 30 million from 10, those process and procedures may need to be tweaked, adjusted. They might need to be broken and rebuilt. But 10 to 30 is a pretty good run. You're not going to build a process or procedure in your business that allows you to go from 10 million to a billion without hitting some road bumps and having to make some adjustments. Here's the hard thing as a business owner that you will face. You might not understand what they're doing. You might think they're working on the wrong stuff because that's not what you would do, or the person who is in charge would do. You might think, well, no one's even complaining about that. Why are we spending so much time on it? But the reality is, if we have the right person, they know that part of the business better than we do. And I'll share an example with you. I have a longtime client, and we brought in a director of operations, and it's a warehouse distribution company. And when we brought the individual in, I talked to the owner and said, how is our new director of ops doing? He said, he's doing okay, but I think he's working on the wrong stuff. I said, oh, really? So I went out into the warehouse and talked to the director of ops and said, hey man, how's it going? He goes, it's going really good. And I go, what have you been working on? He goes, oh, I'll show you. And he walked me through the operation, and he pointed out all the health and safety violations that had existed for a while, and said, if we ever got an audit or an inspector through here, they could have shut us down. And so I've taken care of all of these in my first kind of 4 weeks here. So now if anyone comes, we're good. We can keep operating. And so I went back to the owner, and he said, so what do you think? And I said, he's working on the exact right stuff. That's what these big thinkers, these high capacity, high horsepower individuals, they're looking into the future for you, where you're seeing what you need today. And you might not understand why or what they do, but in short order, you will see improvements. You're going to see some upset people too, because they're going to rattle some cages, and not in a mean, malicious way, but people hate change. And when these new leaders come in, people get up. Some people, the people that say, well, this is how we've always done it, why are we changing it? Now, those people are going to get upset. The people who are saying, I'm tired of banging my head against the wall, we got to fix this, they're going to be happy, and they're going to be more productive. And then that gives you a whole new issue of stuff you got to deal with, because now you have these long-term employees who have been good soldiers for you, who are upset with this new leader who's doing great work, but they're trying to sabotage. That's a whole other episode. But if you find yourself in that curious mindset, if you have a leader or a leadership team and you're wondering what happened, why aren't they delivering? What's changed? How come they can't get things done? It's not their fault. They just don't have the experience or the capacity. They don't have that tool in their tool belt, right? They have one tool and it got you where you are. Now you're in a situation where you need a suite of tools, and they don't understand. A, they don't know what tools they need, and B, if they had them, they wouldn't understand how to use them and implement them. Very few people can grow that capacity on the fly in the chaos of a small business. So it's not that your people are bad. It's just that they're overwhelmed and they need help. And sometimes we need to upgrade a role or create a new role to put in over top of that person who got you where you are, to help coach and mentor them. But more importantly, to start implementing processes and procedures into your business, so you can continue to grow, hopefully with less pain and turmoil. But if you do it correctly and you have the humility to trust, the humility to sit back and the ability to trust them to do what they do, you will be very pleased with the changes that happen within your business. I'd love to know what your thoughts are about that. If you have any comments on it, drop them in the comment section below, or you can send me an email or hit me up on the website. But this is a common thing we do at KeyHire, working with small business owners to kind of identify that leadership constraint, build out that new role, and then go and find the person to fill that role. We're actually really good at it. I think we have about a 90% success rate doing it. So love to talk to you a little more about that. There's a link on the website. So I'd like to thank you for tuning into the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. If you got value out of today's episode, want to keep up to date on our new content, make sure you leave a comment below, or let us know what you thought of the episode, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you prefer to listen to your podcast, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, whatever your favorite platform is. Just search up the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Corey Harlock, and until next time, stop grinding, start growing.